Welcome back to Living Through the Shift podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany J. Harris, and I am so excited you're here. So, first off, I just want to give a super big thank you to the Russell for letting us use their space. And also, I want to talk a little bit about this episode that you're about to watch or listen to. I brought on my really good friend, Lydia Leiker, to talk about her love story, taking care of her husband, Dick, who has Lewy body dementia, and just their really great story. But also, she has an amazing story. And it's about faith and also finding yourself. And we talk a lot about support groups and accountability and taking care of yourself. And I do want to give a little trauma warning to anyone who's listening. We do touch on depression and sometimes a little bit getting sad, potential ideation. And also, we talk a little bit about death and grief. And I know if that might be too hard for you to listen to, I completely understand. And if anyone is still listening after this, I just want to let you know that is the purpose of this podcast. That's why I started this podcast, is that you are not crazy. You're going through a lot of shift. And it's a play on words, but I think a lot of us know that we're going through a lot of stuff. And the purpose is to talk about those things. It's not all about gloom and doom, that your life is not always about you dying. It's about your quality of life and how you're living right now. And I think she has such an amazing story. And I think we have such a great talk on here. And I believe that if anyone is listening to this, I believe that there are some amazing tidbits and tips that you can get from this awesome conversation. We talk a lot about our faith journey and God and how we've gotten through this. And also we talk about some really tough stuff too. But that is the purpose, is that we are living through the shift. We are going through this season, and sometimes it's not a fun season. And a lot of us currently right now, we're just in the waiting room and we're just waiting. But there's things that we can do. We can get magazines, we can listen to music, we can talk to friends, and that's really what this episode is all about. So please take a listen, let us know what you think, and I really hope you enjoy. Welcome back to Living Through the Ship podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany J. Harris, and I'm so excited you're here. First of all, let's give a special thanks to the Russell for letting us host in this space. And also, I want to give a special thanks to my first in person guest at the Russell, Lydia Leiker. Lydia is my really good friend from my support group, and she's going to share her story about her and her husband, Dick, and their journey through taking care of her husband with Alzheimer's, dementia, all that stuff. And we're going to talk about accountability, partnerships, support groups, the really power of sharing your story, and, just having a shared life experience. And now we have this really interesting connection. And I'm so happy she's here. And yeah, I'm so excited. So thank you, Lydia, for coming to the podcast.
Thank you, Tiffany,
Thank
for
you.
inviting me. I think it's really important to share.
How are you doing today?
Today,
Yeah.
I didn't have a good morning.
Yeah.
It was very difficult
Yeah.
to get out and to get here, but I just take moment by moment and handle it and try to pivot, try to capture the rest of the day and do
Yeah.
what I can. And I do find it to be very taxing and tiring. I think, why do I get tired so
Oh
quickly?
my gosh, yes, yes. It's hard, but no, I get it. Keep going.
Yeah, and it's just my husband I think we're in our ninth year, and it's very difficult to know what the next stage is. Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days, and I it's it was a long journey just to get to this point. Because diagnosis with my husband, it took like 4 neurologists to find the right one and the right medications for him, and now we keep changing the medications as he progresses, and, so, um, what does the quality life look like anymore?
I know. That's a really good question. So, tell me a little bit about the story of, like, you and Dick, because I don't know that story, and if anyone's listening, if you've ever been to a support group, you kind of get like, if it's your first time, you usually get like 10 to 15 minutes to talk about what, is going on in your life right now. And you kind of don't really get to talk about the person behind the diagnosis. And like, you don't really get to talk about before you got here. You kind of get to talk about how you went to so many doctors and then you ended up here because you realized you need help. Can you tell me about like you and Dick's love story, like how you all met and then what happened to get you, I guess, to this point of, a diagnosis?
Well, I met Dick in 1989, I guess it was. This was our second marriage,
Okay.
and we were in the same office. And I wanted him to ask me out, and it was a cute story. He did ask me out. I probably knew him about 13 years,
Mhm.
and then he had open heart surgery.
Okay.
And I think that lots of times surgery will, if you're going to have this disease, I think it really progresses quickly.
Okay.
And so all the medication and in the hospital, he was there 28 days and all that and everything. And then a little bit after that, he broke his ankle on the ice. And so, again, I think that was traumatic. And that was probably, um, we talk in the support group about um, how all the different challenges that we have and
Mm.
how do you get them to stop driving.
Yeah.
And so, when he broke his ankle, that pretty much helped me to say,
Yeah.
you can't drive anymore.
Yeah.
And so, all little by little, all the marriage tasks of the house, the car, I learned how I just, as it happens.
Yeah.
And I may not get the best price because I don't have time to do the research on things, but it's just amazing how you can really do it when you don't know.
Yeah.
As it progresses and things happen during life, I just pick it up. And pretty soon I realize I'm doing it all.
Yeah. No, you are. And then, so you and Dick, you all got together in like 1985, 1989, sorry. And you
Hmm.
were like, ask me out. So when did you all get married? And then like when, I guess from there, like how long did you all kind of have this marriage until you kind of started to see symptoms?
I would say probably I saw his symptoms after those surgeries. So that was 2011 was the heart surgery,
Wow.
and
Okay.
2000 probably 13 was the broken ankle. So some days he knows my name, some days he doesn't, and he knows that I'm somebody important to him. I'm a relative
Yeah.
some on those days, but he was in sales.
Okay.
And so he was a happy, handsome salesman, and he didn't meet a stranger. And I think that's to my advantage right now because as I carry, have different caregivers, he's willing to be with them. I don't know if he thinks that it's another opportunity for a sale.
Yeah. Buy from me.
I try to dress him as like he would like to be dressed
Mhm.
and manicure his hair and his fingernails, and which is something that for me that's extra.
Yeah.
We always thought that they could do it themselves. I have to dress him,
Mm.
and he hates a shower. Yeah,
It's hard.
it is. It's a challenge. Every day I dread it. I just dread that shower time. Trying to just do it 2 times a week, and
Mhm.
then just have that. What we used to call spitz bath.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Just
pour it on him. Yeah. No, it's fine. She still likes hers, but it's exhausting though. I know people don't usually. It's just a lot because you're like, please don't fall. Please don't
mm,
forget, like I just hope it's like a good day. So in regards to you, you went in for the diagnosis. So I think you knew around like 2011. When did you finally go and get a diagnosis? And did Dick know? Was he aware when he first got diagnosed?
he did not like the word dementia.
Okay.
He said, I know what that is, and I don't have it. And we don't talk about his memory or anything like that, which is quite a bit different from what I hear on support groups. A lot of them say that their loved one can say, I know I should remember that, but I can't. So I would say the first neurologist told us to go home and sell everything and get into memory care. And I said, well, I was kind of waiting for that to be later on in the prognosis. And he said, it's bad. It's really bad. And, well, I didn't think it was. So I have to be his advocate.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that have to make the decisions. And we went to another one and he said he didn't want us. He just said, I don't want to deal with Alzheimer's. And,
Addicted.
no, the doctor.
Oh, really? Okay.
So now I got two, and
Okay.
I'm thinking, and I'm new at this.
Right.
I'm thinking, how is this supposed to go?
Right.
How do I get help? And the support groups have really helped me in that.
Mhm.
This is what mine says, or whatever. So I knew that there's somebody out there that can help us. We had another one, and then the fourth one, this lady on support group said, use mine. So we drove down to Murfreesboro.
Okay.
And
Oh, I remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
and right away she knew. She
Mhm.
knew what it was. And when it was diagnosed as Lewy body with dementia, the medication seemed to start helping me. He started listening to me, and I would tell him what we're going to be doing, and he would go along with it.
Because it was just an all I do remember now, like, it was just an Alzheimer's diagnosis, and then I think Dr. Hutchins and all that stuff, he was helpful in helping with that diagnosis too, and that
Mm-hmm.
I think the Lewy bodies dementia diagnosis was really life-changing for you because you felt like, "Oh, it's finally working," right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When did you finally get a good diagnosis, do you feel like? What year?
Well, I would say maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
We've been on that plan.
Yeah.
And then we were in palliative care. And then they realized that it was more than they could handle for us, and hospice came in. And I really appreciate them
Yeah.
because they help shower, and then the nurse is very attentive to us.
I was gonna ask about hospice. So a lot of people have a misinterpretation. They just feel like hospice is like, you're gone, you're done. But that's like not true. Can you talk about your experience with hospice, how it has been helpful or not, or any just comments on that?
It's very helpful to our situation. They help me keep up with all the different progress that's going on. As long as Dick continues to have his medication
Mhm.
and the behaviors are changing, the nurse says that that's it's not a terminal. It is a terminal disease. I'll take that back. It is terminal. However, with hospice, they really feel like they can be helpful to us
Yeah.
by watching how he's changing, and then we talk about what the future kind of looks like.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people hear terminal and they think, okay, so you're gone tomorrow. And that's not true. People can be on hospice for years. My
Mm-hmm.
uncle was on hospice, I think, for like 15 years. He had a very progressive form of Parkinson's. So definitely a lot of like neurodegenerative stuff. So that's been really helpful for you.
Mm-hmm.
Was I think looking back, you said you started to see signs after his first surgery. What were some of those signs that you started to notice with him?
Being able to count money
Okay.
and or time, not being able to look at the clock and see what that is. And he was used to getting up very early in his job. And so at that time, he was showering himself and had his own shower. So I didn't know when he was getting up, and he was on a golfing league. And so he would get up. And when I heard the garage door going up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I jumped out of bed, ran downstairs, and I was saying, Dick, you can't go to McDonald's and sit there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
The golfers didn't come in and have coffee till 7, so it was hard. I had to sit with him until he kept saying, "Is it time? Is it time?" With this disease, you look at that and you say, "It's not gonna get any better."
But then, like, some days are, like, better than others. Like you said, you have your good
Mhm.
days and your bad days. So, like, did you were married, you were living this life, and I think if someone's listening to this, I don't know who, I hope it reaches the right person, but I know that I've seen it a lot, especially in the groups. Because I think when I first went, everyone's like, "I have a husband." I was like, "I want one." But, like but also, like, it's sweet because 'cause you've lived this, like, really great life, really good marriage with this person you love and you care about them. And then they have a disease and they wanna deny it because it's like, "Oh, no, the thing that I fear the most, I'm really aging, really has set in." What would you tell someone who's married to kinda emotionally prepare? Do you feel like you're emotionally prepared or spiritually prepared for this?
No, I don't know how to prepare for it because each patient or loved one is different,
Yeah.
and that's why on the support group, I know what they're gonna we're all at different stages and everything, and so I kinda know the ones that are just starting out and the ones that are ahead of me. I think that when I decided it needed to be as simple as we can in our day, and also to be willing to say, "We can't come today, it's not a good day," and that's some disappointments for me because
Mhm.
my life is kinda when I can get away. I look forward to that,
Yeah.
and but it all depends on what kind of a night he had, and I think the worst well, I can't say that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
They
can.
had they had 3 different episodes of where he had the 36 hours of being awake,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and it was just, and that was before we got on the right medication, and the only thing that I could calm him down because he had said, we're going home." I just drove him around. A real traumatic day for me, and I tried to get a hold of a doctor. I was on holiday, and he said, well, he was one that sat in, not he just said, "I don't know your husband or anything, just take him to ER." Well, ER is the worst
Yeah.
place for dementia,
Yeah, it is.
and so I avoid that as much as possible unless I can't set
Mhm.
an ankle.
Yeah. We'll do it. You're like Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
So that was a big dip in the progress for me, and I've learned about a lot of things through books, givers on
Mhm.
the support groups give us a lot of books to read, and it's all about finding what works for you
Yeah.
and him, and you don't know that.
No, you don't, and you have to be open to change, and one of our really great people in our group, she's like, "I knew that the wheel had been created for this, like, I knew that there was someone out there to help me." When did you finally say, "I gotta go get some help because this is not working?" So when did you finally say, like, "I gotta go to a support group?" Because I don't know if you had, like, a therapist before or something like that, but when did you finally say, "I'm gonna go?"
I did not have a therapist, um, but they do recommend that, um, and, just so you can say the things that you wanna say, but
And you can.
yeah, in a place where you wanna be honest. I would say as far as going to the support group, I really felt the caring when I started the first one, and I can't remember, it's been so long,
Yeah.
who recommended me to get on to, the support groups, but, it's it's really fun because we try to share celebrations too, and
Big wins.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just share your concerns.
Mhm.
What's going on? And then you don't have to share. And everybody respects that. They're saying,
Mhm.
no, I don't, I'm just not up to it today.
I don't wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say it is celebrations because I sometimes feel like, especially, like, a diagnosis or, like, a medication or even when I put my mom in assisted living the first time, I just remember, like, everyone was like, "Girl, you cannot do this. Like, you got to put her somewhere. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, I slept, and that was a celebration. It was like, good for you for getting some sleep. So, and let me preface this. You can say what you can, because say whatever you want, because I feel like that's the point, is that like whoever's going to listen to this, they're going to be like, caregivers, they're just like ages and they know all this stuff, and like we're like, I mean, yeah, we believe in God or whatever, we do, but like there's people who are just like, mm-mm. Like there are days when I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna curse. I didn't even know I knew that word. Like that was people are like, you got a dirty mouth. I do, I am furious, but I think it's fair, because it's like you go crazy, it can make you go crazy. And that's why you have like these groups there. So I'll say like Lydia became my accountability partner, because I remember coming to you and you're like, I'm going to be your accountability partner, because my mom had moved in with me. And I was just like, it's a lot. Like, I don't know what to do. And sometimes I think that's the thing, is you got to pair up with people outside a support group, because sometimes that like 10 minutes or hour or whatever, the minute you share, or the minute that you listen and engage, whether you go to like to a few a week or something, it's like good to get out there and talk to other people too. So Lydia helped me find like another day program for Jackie, and that was great. And that was really helpful for me. So one, thank you for that. No, truly, thank you. Like it helped me kind of say like, okay, maybe I can start to do things again.
Or sleep.
Or sleep. Yeah. Right. Like I just drop her off and I'm like, I'm gonna go take a nap. Like those are the best things. What is the point of getting an accountability partner and having community? Why is it so important for those of us going through this?
I think we forget. I think lots of times we get into just being in the present, just doing what you have to do. And when somebody says, what have you done for yourself? If you're depressed, or which that happens to all of us. So I think that when you have somebody to talk about it and to be honest, and somebody's not going to judge you for that, when we really have that person to talk to, or not, just sit with a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. I just think that sometimes I need to just say some honest things to one person and not a group.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does it feel to share your story? Like, how did it feel to share and not have judgment? Because I'll like preface this, if someone's saying, oh, I don't know, I don't understand. So usually when your loved one gets diagnosed, it's like you tell someone, they're like, what? Like when I told people that my mom ran away, they're like, what? And I spent like an hour explaining it. And it was exhausting. And it was also traumatic, because I felt like I was reliving, 7 hours of like police and doctors' offices and like psychiatric visits and stuff, and just people seeing you like not in a good place. And I think people say that stuff all the time. They're like, stuff happens. And then like when stuff happens, they're like, that was a little bit too much stuff. You get around people who like get it. So how does it feel when you're around people who like get it, and how, like, yeah, I'll just ask that first. How does it make you feel when people finally get you?
I think you don't have to explain what's happening. You really get to the point quickly on saying, my husband was up all night and they're gone. They just know the next step, how to take care of that. You don't have to say it. People say, why? Why was he up all night? What happened? That kind of thing. You don't have to say that, because people don't. They just go from where today is and you go forward.
Yeah.
And we don't explain what's happened. And most of the times they'll say, how are you feeling? And that's very comforting for somebody to reach out and say, that's got to be traumatic for you, Lydia. And how are you feeling about that? Are you angry? Are you sad? Because I think it's hard to get in touch with our feelings.
Yeah, it is, because we're like taught to press them down all the time. And then you have this situation that forces you to deal with stuff that you didn't, or like forces you to be like, oh, I have emotions. Like, I'm going through stuff. And then you don't waste your time. Like you said, you get to the meat of it. Because then people are like, why would they do that? That's crazy, you know?
Mhm.
And you're like, yeah, that is crazy. And then, but okay, so let's talk about like the emotional part. So finally you feel seen. Had you been a part of any support groups before this?
I had joined one that met once a month, and I just didn't think that was enough.
Okay.
I was thinking that, wow, I need somebody every day,
Mhm.
and I don't go every day, but at least I was going 3 times, and now I'm down to 2. Monday night is
Mhm.
one of mine, and I do go to a care and share on, in Brentwood United Methodist
Okay, I haven't been to that.
on Tuesday, but it's once a month.
Okay.
And so it's mostly an update of the progression and that kind of thing.
I go to the Harpeth one, so it's helpful in person. Yeah.
It is.
It's so different because I know Monday Ladies Night Group it's been virtual for a while. We're the long it's Monday Night Ladies Group support sharing, super long name. But yeah, it's like helpful to be in person, and then like when we see each other in person, it's like I know you,
I
I
know.
know your face.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you something funny. But I was at Walgreens,
Okay.
and this lady came up to me and she said, "Lydia, how are you?"
Yeah.
And I thought, I've never met Tiffany in person. I
Right.
thought it was you.
Oh
And so as I said, I work over at such and such a place where I volunteered
no. Oh, okay.
I felt bad, but I I I thought, "Well, give me another hug."
Like, hey, girl, not you. It's fine. No, it was funny because then I started going to Sunny Day, and then I was like, Lydia, and it was just, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. They say we have doppelgangers out there. It's fine. How does it? So you're sharing with people. If someone's listening right now and they're like, I don't understand dementia. I do not understand. I think, and also I'll preface this and say a lot of us, I think I was the first person out of my group to kind of go through a parent with a terminal illness, like in your 20s and 30s. Um, I think, or just like really realizing aging or whatnot. What would you tell someone who's like, I'm a friend, I've never understood anything about this? How could they be more empathetic to hear what we're really going through, or like at least be supportive of what we're going through? What would you tell them?
Oh my. Um, I think just stay in contact with me to maybe meet up and have a luncheon. That really helps me to listen. Somebody to listen. It's really difficult to explain that the brain does not the voluntary things are are not connected. We can't make it. Um,
We can't make them do it. It's like
yeah.
it's crazy how like your body is just so, what are they talking about? Like autonomic, like nervous system, like it's just it's very the brain is like the body is beautiful when you think of it. You're like, wow, like I don't have to remember to breathe. Like and it's like your
Mm.
body knows what to do. But then also it is hard because people are just like, I don't get it. Like I don't get it. And I think it's like you don't have to. Like I don't think you have to like always understand, like know the why. It's just like being present because you said you mentioned you said just be there. Um, would you notice like your friendships changed like after Dick got diagnosed?
Yeah, I think they did. I think we lost some friends. Sometimes I think my neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Hope they don't listen to this.
They need to. I'm sure there's someone who's gonna be like, "Gosh, I haven't really been there." It's true.
'Cause
Like, let's just be honest.
yeah,
It's fine.
they watch me put the wheelchair in the car,
Yes.
and they watch me bring him out and hold on to him and talk to him and talk to him.
I'm only
And
laughing.
and
I
they
get it.
yeah, they don't quite I
Yeah.
mean, it's like,
Then they show up.
do I help or don't I
Right.
help?
Then they show up later and they're like, "You got it." And you're like, "I've done 99%. It's fine. You
Yeah.
have a good one." And you're just like, "Oh my god."
Yes.
No, I get it. But no, and I think it's fair because I don't know, it's weird. It's like, because you're not the only person who's gone through this, and you've probably known other people who have gone through this. Did you know other people who had went through like stuff like this before?
No,
Okay, so you were the first one out of your group too.
I think so. I know Dick's mother had it, and I know that there's some progression there and
Mhm.
how, um, but the children didn't live in her state,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so the daughter did move back, and, and the son did too later. Dick has a brother and a sister, but I don't I don't think I knew to this extent what that was going to be like, and you know maybe I buried my head in sand thinking it's going to skip a generation
Mhm.
or it's not going to happen to him.
Yeah. And that's hard. Like that's hard. I will say you are a woman of faith. So how has God met you in your community or in your quietest moments of caregiving?
I felt very cared for and loved, and that um, nothing's too great. I wake up a lot of times singing that song, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And that
Yeah.
means a lot to me
Yeah.
because I believe that He is very faithful to me.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And I will say that because if you have any advice for someone, because I feel like for me, it's been like a come to Jesus moment of like, it's not working, you know? But also like I know I'm like not because I think you can be like young and also like young in your faith. And I feel like this is the one time that I've had to like really cling to my faith where I'm like nothing else is gonna get me through this but God. And how did you like did you find yourself like checking more in with God being like, "Hey Jesus, what's going on? I know I just spoke to you 30 minutes ago, but what's going on?" Like how do you like check in with God like every day? Like how do you tap into that? What do you do to like stay connected to God in this season?
Well, I do try to stay with my devotionals, at, and typically when Dick's um, out of the room or whatever,
Mm.
but it's quick.
Yeah.
It's and at night I'm
Yeah.
so tired. It's hard for me to stay with the devotional. But you know, when I'm trying to do something, I'll say a prayer.
Mm.
Jesus, help us to get in this car today, and um, and then I thank Him for that. And
Yeah.
those little tiny things
Mhm.
that happen, it builds my faith that I can do it today. I don't know about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not promise tomorrow, but I can do it today.
And it's like the Bible verse of like, don't worry about tomorrow. Like tomorrow, like today will take care of himself. And you're like, and get me through today.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you very much. No, I get it. What do you pray for now that you might not have prayed for before?
that my health will hold up during this process. All our bodies are getting tired,
Yeah.
and um, and this is very stressful. So it could expede things and our health.
Yeah.
And when when I have something that doesn't feel right inside, I keep saying, Jesus, I really need my health. I
Mhm.
need to be able to take care of him. Let me know when I'm not going to be able to do it because I think I can do it. And the support group will say, "Well, what's the trigger? What's what's the one thing that you're going to transfer him to a memory care?"
Do you think you're going to do that?
Mhm.
Okay. No, you're like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it. No, you're strong. How do you take care of yourself? Because I will say that for me personally, I don't like when people are like, put your oxygen mask on first because we're not on a plane. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like sometimes you're gonna not have to breathe for a second. It's not always about you. And that sucks. So, how do you take care of yourself and make time to breathe?
I'm not good at it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, same.
yeah. I sometimes have to remind myself, or I have to call Tiffany and say,
Same.
help me. Because I don't, um, I don't know. I find that it's a nice break for me to be treated, somebody to bring the
Mm,
food to me. So it's not every day that I get to do that. But, you know, the whole process is I'm going to get out this week. So that kind of little
mhm.
goal or whatever. And it's little because
But
it doesn't last very long.
no, but I love that, and I didn't even think about that because, like, for me, I'm always like a trip or like a massage or something because I
Mm.
haven't done that, and trips can be oof, we can talk about that. But like I didn't think about like someone else serving you or whatnot. Do you do you still make like doctor appointments for yourself just to be like, I gotta go? And if you do, I mean, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I can tell you what happened to me last week. But like, do you do that?
I make them, but I also cancel them.
Yeah.
My doctor, the nurse called and she said, you know, in order for you to stay on this medication, you got to get in here. We got to have a checkup of some
Okay.
kind. I I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to know if everything is how it's progressing, and I'm not young either. So if he could tell me that um, I need a different plan or whatever, that would be great. But it's just like making plans. It's like, okay, um, can I have a care? You know, do I have a caregiver?
Mhm.
Because I just, I don't know. I think to take him at the doctor's offices would be kind of traumatic. Like, are you okay, Lydia? Are you, you know,
Yeah, that's true.
is there something wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, I had to bring my mom to a like a gynecology appointment. I was like, she'll just sit outside. Like it's fine. She's like, what's going on? Like so much, so much. But
Hmm.
like these are the like weird moments
Hmm.
that happen. So can you do like a virtual appointment for you at least? Maybe.
He didn't offer that.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know.
I'll
Um,
reach out and ask.
yeah, yeah, that's the whole thing is this whole program is, you know, ask. If they say no, they say no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It has made me more brave.
right? So you're like trying to take care of yourself. You have a support group. How did how is this for you all financially? Like when you first found out, were you like somewhat prepared or were you like, oh no?
No, we really didn't think about that. We had the will,
Okay.
and they talk about that in the support group too. Get all your will and power of attorney and to see an elderly law and all those kinds of things. But no, I didn't want to talk about that stuff really.
Yeah.
And so financially, it just keeps going. And I did have to ask for extra help from the 401k
Okay.
because I just said, now I have somebody every afternoon and it's expensive. It's
Yeah.
just,
It costs money.
it costs money.
And our labor is and even though we don't like we do the work. We don't get paid for this.
No,
So our labor, it like means something. Like I'm paying somebody to do something or more than what I'm doing. And I'm not getting paid. And neither are you. And
no,
it's like, that's hard. Have you you've had to be creative. So what's like the most creative thing you've done to get support or care?
That's a good question.
You switched caregivers. I will say that.
I have,
That was
yeah,
good.
yeah, I have switched caregivers because I needed to feel that he was taken care of, that that he was safe, that kind of thing, and that not every caregiver understands dementia either.
No.
And so you have to find that right fix. And I feel like keeping him as home in our home as long as we can,
Yeah.
um, and having the tools at home
Mhm.
to take care of him is, um, I feel like I have to be creative every day to
Mhm.
figure out, okay, that didn't work, and
Do something else.
yeah, so donate that.
Get rid of this. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I will ask you about that because I feel like if someone's in this journey, or if not, or wherever, I think sometimes we feel like we can't fire people because I feel like I don't know. There's a part of me that looks forward to this, and I want to ask you about that. But there's a part of me that's like, oof, like once you hit like your mid-30s, like I just won't take any mess anymore because I just feel like you're fired and you suck at your job. That's okay. Like there's so many other jobs out there for you. And that sounds mean, but also like if you're not qualified to take care of someone with dementia and you don't want to learn about it, then why are you gonna work here? Can you speak to caregivers out here who are like, I'm trying to be nice. Nice goes out the window immediately. Can you
Mhm.
like speak to that, like that experience of just like hiring, firing, like not being a good fit? Can you tell me about that and just what you would tell to someone else?
One incident we had was the caregiver would be late, and so, and I understand we all have families and children and all that and everything, and, so I had to say, "I need communications. I just need you to communicate with me. In this day and age, it just takes a text or something saying, 'I'm gonna be an hour late or 2 hours late, or I'm not coming today.'" And, it's a lot for somebody in your house 5 days a week, in and out, and are they coming? And you sit there, you're like, "Well, you know, I can't do anything until they arrive." So, you do all those little tiny tasks, but all the time you're nervous, and then they text and say, "I can't come today." So,
Mhm.
um, I don't like conflict, and so it's like it takes me a while to get the nerve to to kinda say, "I need a better plan."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, I've had quite a few of those. Um, I've had some that really think that my husband takes too long to get in and out of the car. I can't help that.
Yeah.
I try to help them as much as I can, but
Mhm.
it has to be a good fix. And
Yeah.
I try to give them grace.
Yeah. So much grace.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then I have to say, well, that either we've passed what
Mhm.
your scope of service is, and I need somebody else.
Yeah. Someone well, thank you for sharing that because I think that just I agree. I think especially us, we feel like, "Oh, like, we don't wanna make waves because 1, you're afraid if someone which this is a thing that does happen, like neglect. If you irritate the provider, you might be worried that they might hurt your loved one. And
Mhm,
then there's also a feeling of, and if I don't say anything, you're probably gonna hurt them because you're like neglecting them as is. So I'll pivot a little bit because I know you mentioned that we were talking about finances and you didn't want to talk about it. And I think that's what the purpose of this was. And I hate like I mean that's the purpose of the podcast is you're not crazy, you're going through a lot of shift and we're gonna talk about it. And I mean, I noticed myself getting like older and my mom didn't want to talk about this stuff. And there's this feeling of like when you get this diagnosis, it's like, oof, like it's a wake up call. And I know for me, my mom's 68. You should never tell a lady's age, whatever. But I'm like 34, and it's like now I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, we're half each other's age. And she has done so many things to like end up in this place. I know every person is different, but my mom, she was kind of in this place of like, I'll do it tomorrow, like, or just being in like wrong relationships or like not really caring about herself. And it bothered me because, maybe she was listening to other people who were like mean or like whatever. And we all do that, we stay in places too long. We let people say things that like don't mean anything to us. And then you end up in this space of like, those people really never mattered. And now it sucks. I think my question to you is like, there's still hope though on this side because it's not like a sad story. There's still like so many small joys. Can you, I guess, give some advice to someone who it doesn't matter how old they are, they're listening to this and they're saying, I don't want to talk about this stuff. And I feel like it's not all about like death and dying. It's about life. It's about, and we talk about this a lot about quality of life and how it's important. And are you having a good quality of life now? Like my like 30-year-old self was like, girl, you were eating fast food, you were working a job, like you were trying to work like 4 different jobs. Like that was unsustainable. Or maybe you're like older, maybe I don't know, like whatever. I'm older, whatever age you are. What would you tell someone to like if they're listening to this and they're like, think about your quality of life now? What advice would you give to them to like start having these conversations before um it gets to a diagnosis or any point really?
To have a conversation with a loved one before.
Like knowing what you know now, how would you approach it, you know? Just because I know it's so hard. It's like nobody wants to talk about that. It
Hmm.
sucks, and it still sucks for me. I'm like, oof, especially as Christians, because it's like we know, but also we should feel some type of relief. Um, but like, what do you tell someone who's like, I don't want to talk about getting old. Like, I hate it.
Hmm.
Um, or where my life is right now. Like, you could be, like you were talking about like a marriage or something. Like even your first marriage, like leaving that. How do you, I think just like growing or development, when do you know when to change? Anything really, just like any advice, any sage advice from what you've learned from now?
Well, I feel like that because we're here on earth, we have a purpose. And so, um, if I can help somebody along this journey and show some empathy and some concern and to be, to walk with them in the journey, I would. I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'm glad to be here for that. Um, I didn't know my life was going to turn out this way, and
Mhm.
I don't think anybody knows what the future is going to be. Um, but I do get concerned about that. I
Yeah.
wonder um, what the next stage is going to look like. I think if you could take care of yourself as much as you can,
Yeah.
um, and to continue to do the things that make your brain bright and helpful,
That's
and
true.
and um, whatever that might be, keep it alert as much as possible, and not to get depressed, and to recognize those feelings. We talked about, well, we just push them down and stuff, but I would say recognize where you are today and celebrate today. Find find those green lights.
No,
The
it's
green
good.
lights
Yeah, I love that. I have find the green lights. I love that. Yeah. No, keep going. Yeah.
is a real difficult um, journey, I think, and it does wear us out.
Oh my
And
God.
be aware that when you're tired, that it's time to just do something about that.
Yeah,
And
to take a break.
showing the love to your loved one. I think just holding the hand, and in the mornings I try to kiss my husband every day, even if he doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
But um, we are people of connection. We want to be around people,
We
and
do.
so can't deny that to us.
No.
Um, and do I try to do the best I can, and not beat yourself up if it doesn't happen. He'll forget it anyway.
That is true. I don't know. Sometimes my mom will like come back and I'm like, dang, why can't she still remembers my ex? So
Oh,
there's some things she remembers, but like she'll
mhm,
forget, but other things, yeah. You were talking about, pushing stuff down and especially in this area, it's a lot of shame.
mhm,
We were talking about this before. We sound like I know sometimes I feel like Charlie Brown. I have ADHD, so I'm always like, "Am I talking so much about this? Like, I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. I apologize a lot." Um, but also there's like this feeling of shame of like sharing our stories of talking about this stuff. But like we're out here because I think we want like the other 75% or like whoever's isn't doing this, at least like millennials, but like I think there's like what 40% of people who aren't doing this are like, ugh, whatever. And it's about to be a crisis.
mhm.
And it's how have you like moved past the shame? And if someone is in their early stages of like, I feel bad for talking about this, I feel bad for sharing my story, I feel bad for asking help. What would you tell them? But also like how have you moved past that or like how are you moving past that?
To acknowledge that you feel shame. And the other thing is, I have a terrible time with comparison,
Mm,
and that's not healthy either. To compare yourself with somebody else's journey, and I have to just say, and I get a lot of that from the support group. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing a good job. He's
he's safe.
he's safe. His quality of life is good. And I have to be reminded of that
Mhm.
because um, I would like it to be different.
Yeah.
And I look at other men that are my husband's age, and I couldn't, my husband be like that. And we don't go out to eat anymore. He's basically asleep by 6:30. It can be lonely. Yeah. Yeah. Even though we're in a big world with busy world and everything, it can be lonely.
Yeah. Everyone's busy. I think being here, even like sharing your story more, it's like so because I think you did a talk with like last year or something, wasn't it like one of the caregiver workshops or something where you were a speaker and then sharing here, like it's important to share your story. And that's why I wanted you here to like share your story because I think there should be no shame about this. And also the more we share it, I think it helps people. It also helps us, maybe.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it, it really does. Be in the present, think
Yeah.
about where you've been, and think, well, we made it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
got past that.
Yeah. I will say we talked a lot about like faith and just I was asking someone, I was like, what's the difference between like faith and hope? And I feel like for me, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I have a mustard seed, maybe half. That's bad. But I was like, it's so tiny. And they're like, how do you have half? You're like, I have days. I have days. But also like there's this feeling of like hope. Um, and of course, we know that like this disease is just it's terrible, and I really hope they find a cure for this. I really
Me
do.
too.
Um, but also like what gives you hope every day? Or is there something or like or even I wouldn't even say every day because there's days where it's like, oh, there's no hope. But even like if you did a grade at the end of the month and you said, what gives me hope? What continues to give you hope throughout this journey? If there is any.
Well, I hope that I don't have any regrets.
Mm, yeah.
I really am thankful that I can stay uh, in tune with what's going on. And I see other strong women that have met, and they're in a different journey now. And I feel like if I can keep him home and give him the quality, the one-on-one attention. And but I keep wondering what is the end?
Yeah. I know, it's so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because their bodies seem to continue. It's just the brain,
Yeah.
and so uh, I want to do the best I can, and when I feel like I've failed or whatever, a lot of people say, "Well, Lydia, it wasn't your intention for that to happen," and you always know the best of interest
Mhm.
for him. And I have to keep telling myself is that I don't want any regrets.
Yeah. And I don't think you will. Like, I think a lot of us we did the best that we could do.
Mhm.
Like we did. And I know it's like when you were talking about when you fail, I know that you all have taught me this, like, it wasn't a fail. Like it worked for
Yeah.
a really long time. And I've heard like them tell you this and me. Like if something were to like it worked for a really long time and then it didn't. That wasn't a fail. It stopped. We just went to something else. There was a regression. There was a change.
Mhm.
Um is and we talked about like that. How is I think like holding your grief in this season? Like how is that, and how do you? I know for me, um, I think have not. I've like somewhat come to a sense of peace, but also like thought I would be married and like I would have the wedding and my mom would see me with all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's not gonna happen. And coming to terms with grief. How have you come to terms with grief, if you want to share?
Well, Tiffany, I hope you don't give up that hope.
It made
Um,
me cry.
yeah,
Like, go ahead.
I hope that you know that it's just not right now.
Mm,
It it's going to come, and that um, it has to be at the right time, and that's what's happening. I think to us is
yeah.
the timing, and
That's-
mm,
yeah. I didn't think I was gonna cry. I was like, yeah, no. Well, thank you. Keep going. I
mhm.
was like, keep going about you. But no, yeah.
And it's these friendships
Yeah.
encourage each other
Yeah.
and say, um, "You are a lovable person, and you're doing a good job."
I feel like we have to look forward to like stuff because I think it's like you have like this expectation, and I think Crystal she was talking about this. You have this expectation of what life was going to be like, and then it changes, and then you're like, oh, this isn't it. Um, and I think it's like, what's next? It's
Mhm,
like when they're not here, because then it's like you're here. And it's like I'm seeing it. I know what's going to happen, and then it actually happens, and you're like, I wasn't ready for this, and that's hard. Because I've sat with women afterward,
mhm.
they don't have them anymore, and they're like, onward and upward, and that's, like, hard. Do you sometimes feel do you have a certain feeling for, like, when it's afterward, for the after?
No, I do think about that a lot, and I think of all, um, people that are around me and supporting me,
Mhm.
and they tell us to build a team,
Yes.
and I think that's all gonna go away.
No.
I think that, um, lots of times I think, all the people that support me, uh, they support me for the journey and what I've gone through,
Yeah.
but then once he's not here anymore,
Yeah.
then I will be, um, I'll have a sense of loneliness, um, and the emptiness, um, that is, if I'm still here, I still have a job, and I don't know what that job will be,
Well,
unless it is to help the rest of
yeah.
the ones that are still taking care of their loved one.
Yeah, and I feel like and we've seen it. Like, we've seen some and I think we will still be there. And I think it will like you said, like you told me we we'll still be here. We will. I mean, like,
Thank you.
we still have, she still comes, Paulette. I just texted her last night. Like, she
Yeah.
still comes to the meeting. And I haven't, like, hung out with Ruthie and stuff, um, but yeah, I mean, I've, like, seen her, but she's been traveling a lot. But I'm just saying we will be here. Um, and I will say this, that, like, these people are so much different than, like, it's hard because I feel like I've changed. Like,
Mhm.
I'm weird, and we can talk about I feel like I've changed because I feel like I wanna care more about deeper connections and, like, real things because I understand that there's a timeline and there's an importance of actual true connection, not just, like, a falsitude of community. Um, but I feel like these are your real friends. Like, these are your peeps, you know? And when people say, like, "You'll find your people," I feel like there's more of us out here, like, who are looking I mean, it sounds bad to be, like, looking forward to after, but, you know, being happy in the moment and like you say, like, catching the green lights.
Mhm.
But also, like, there's more green lights when they're not here. And, yeah. How do you feel like you changed as a person in this journey?
Well, I think I have more compassion,
Yeah.
and I think that, um, I really have, um, tried to stay in the present, not try to get in the future,
Yeah.
because I know that that's all kind of a spiral for me. I also think that life is what you make it.
Yeah.
So if we're given something, um, and we're no longer a caregiver,
Mhm.
then, um, I need to look for a place to volunteer, or I need to look for someplace that I can benefit, somebody can benefit from me,
Mhm.
um, because you and I have experience that other people don't have.
No. Mhm.
And and so I think that, that we have become, um, different than what
Mhm.
we thought we were. I think we're gonna get more rest,
Yeah.
beauty
Yeah.
sleep.
I know. And I'm like, "You look so good." I'm like, "Thanks. I got sleep." Exactly.
Such a simple answer. I had some sleep.
I had water
Yeah.
a lot, and I didn't forget to drink it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I guess we'll wrap up, and I'll ask if someone is listening to this. So, I guess the wrap up section is really just if someone's like, "I fast forwarded to the end, and I didn't get a chance to listen, to all of this." If you could sit down with, like, a single person or even, like, a couple, and knowing what you've known now through this journey, what will you tell them, um, about preparing, like, before the I do, or, like, preparing before dating or questions to ask?
Well, in the support group, they talk about the vows and that, um, until death do us part. But the support group says it doesn't say you have to do it alone.
Mm,
It says that you can ask for help.
yeah.
And so I think that's what this journey is learning to ask for help. Would just tell them to, um, really stay present and stay in tune with each other.
Mhm,
And because I think that our love for our loved one, like there's a saying, no love, um, kindness is not noticed.
mhm.
And so, um, I think that our loved ones still notice that through our touch and everything, they still feel loved.
Yeah, they're still there. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing people forget. They're like, "Oh, what do they know?" And they can tell if someone's not nice to them or, like, you know, they're not
Mhm.
loved, like you said, or cared for. So, yeah, I do love that, how you said, like, "Don't do it alone."
Mhm.
Um, what makes you so you've shared your story here. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and
Mhm.
honest.
Thank you.
Um, I appreciate that. And you've shared it before. What do you think leaving today will make you continue to share your story?
I think it gives people hope
Yeah.
that you can do it
Yeah.
and that um, you're still in love
Yeah.
and that when the sun's shining, enjoy that. Enjoy the little things.
Mhm.
And if somebody is helped through this, be encouraged to reach out and not stay alone.
Mhm.
Very easy to just pull the blinds down and shut the door. But if this helps some one person to
Mhm.
to reach out to any of us
Yeah.
and and say, well, do you have time to talk?
Yeah. I love that. I think taking time to talk because we do need to talk,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so important. Like even just venting, it's like when you ask someone and they say, "Do you want to vent or do you want advice?"
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's hard because sometimes everyone wants to fix everything, and you can't fix this. Like, you can't I mean, sometimes. Um, I will say for me, get creative. Like, if anyone's out here, and you can speak to that, get creative about how you wanna help your friends because I think there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, they're just going through a lot." Like, I mean, you've seen us, like, it's one minute it's one thing, you're like, "They gotta be making this stuff up." Like, "They gotta be lying about this. There's no way that happened and then this happened," and, um but, like, get creative about your skills and, like, how you can help people because I think there's ways that you can sit with people because I've sat with, you know I've sat with women afterward and it's been hard, but it's also been, like, a part of the healing process too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and being there. I guess, I'll finish it with this. So, you said, like, you still give him a kiss. Your husband a kiss, Dick. You give him a kiss in the morning, how do you this has changed your marriage so much.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define love now?
She'll say some things that are funny,
Yeah,
and we get to laugh a little bit.
yeah,
And that's another thing. Keep your sense of humor.
she is.
I would say do as much with them as you can.
Mhm.
And I think the definition of marriage is different now. Seems like it's 95% on me.
Mhm.
It's not a partnership, really. But I will miss him.
Yeah, but he's still here, and it's, like, hard because it's, like, you know, it's not fun.
No, it's
It's not fun, and I think it's, like, everyone's trying to sugarcoat it, and I think that's why I say, like, be honest, like,
mm-hmm,
be honest because it's kinda hard to, like, sit in the hardness and be like,
mm-hmm,
"This isn't fun, and I don't like it, and I can't fix it, and I
mm-hmm,
just have to sit through it," and that's hard. But it's also sweet because you have moments of, like, where you love each other and you care about each other. People can be there and friends and family, it's something we don't understand. Right. But if there's, like, one wrapped up thing that you just want someone to know about being there as a caregiver, going to get support, like, one last thing you said you wanna if it could help one person, and I think it will definitely help more than one person because I think you have an amazing story,
mm-hmm. Thank you.
and I think that's really the point of this is it's about life, it's
Yeah.
about your quality of life. It's not just about their quality of life, but our quality of life, and we all have one. But yeah, if there's one or, 3 things that you would say I know, you're like, "Get to the point, girl." But if there's something that you would say to, I think, just, like, make it a bow and just let people know, to help them, what would you say?
Let's say take care of yourself in all of this. Try to give yourself some grace and to keep up your appearance in the house as much as you can. And learn about yourself, what makes you happy, and to do those things if you can. And nobody knows what the future holds. But if we stay faithful to our spiritual side and stay faithful to the job that God has given us, it's not easy, but it's it. You can do it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I know you all love this is Lydia Leiker, and thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tiffany.
No, she's the best. She's my
I love
accountability
you.
partner. I love her too. No, she's like my favorite. I was like, I love her. But no, thank you for sharing this. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm so happy you shared this. This was a lot. But I definitely feel like it will help a lot of people. So thank you all so much for watching this episode of Living Through the Ship podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany J. Harris, and I think you all will love it as much as I did. And we'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye bye.